Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey, good evening everybody. It's Sunday, and I just wanted to get with you guys this weekend, and I hope everybody had a great one. And I know we're going into the holiday season, so right off the bat, Merry Christmas to everybody, and that means to everybody around the world. And thank you for being with me. We really appreciate you doing that. MM&C have been knocking it out of the park. Samson has been showing us the data that just supports so much good information this last week, and I think you guys see that. And so it's exciting times, and I think that we're going to talk about some things that are going to be pretty powerful. I really do believe that, and so I hope you guys enjoy. So anyway, the first article I'm going to get with is that it's the Prime Minister and Mr. Al-Hakim discuss efforts to implement. I think the key word here is going to be implement. You're going to see it a few times. There's going to be more key buzzwords, but the cool part is that Hakim discusses efforts to implement the government program. What is the government program? It's the reforms. It's all of the reforms. It's that whole program. So that's really big. The Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani discussed on Saturday, the head of the National Wisdom Movement, with this Mr. Hakim, efforts to implement the government program with all of its objectives. So that means that's all-inclusive. The statement adds on that the meeting discussed the general situation in the country, okay, the government's efforts to implement its government program with all of its objectives that aim to develop the services provided for who? The citizens, of course, and improve the economic reality of the country in order to achieve economic and social development. It's got to be big, you guys. To me, what is it time for? I'm going to say this. It's time to expose that 2024 budget investment side. I think that's exactly what it was. Don't forget, we already talked about the Ministry of Justice, number 4805, and I think you guys, they did it privately. It's public to a point, but you can't print it, so you have to say, well, what's in it? What are they hiding? Keep that in the back of your mind. So anyway, aside from that, Iraq and Italy signed a memorandum of understanding for economic and tourism cooperation. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but in patreon.com/MM&crew, you're going to find that this article, like I said, Iraq and Italy signed a memorandum of understanding of economic and tourism cooperation. Look, they have upwards of tens of millions of people that come into Iraq annually for religious tourism. The amount of money that's going to cross the borders is phenomenal. So anyway, in the presence of a high-level diplomats and businessmen, the president of the Federation of Iraqi Chamber of Commerce, Zahuri, he signed a joint memorandum of understanding with the Federation of the Italian Chamber of Commerce and in the Embassy of Rome, right? And a number of businessmen. Well, why did they do that? Well, because it's that time. It's that time is what it seems like, is that things are going to be changing. And everybody needs to, are you ready? Yes, let's sign the deals. Or at least memorandums of understanding. Okay, and usually those become contracts. Not always, but of course they can be. And what's the cooperation? It's going to be between Iraq and Italy. So Iraq's gearing for tourism, you guys. If you think of the impact of how many people are going to come into the country for years to come, every year they already do it, but now they're going to have all the electronic systems in place, so they'll be able to tap into that economic activity, which they haven't before, not to the extent that they are and are going to. Okay, so it's a lot of money. Think about it for a minute. If a meal costs $5 to $15 per meal, that's 3 meals a day, and then do that by 10 million people. What's the revenue on that? That's what you should be thinking about. Okay, This article is called "The Government Meeting to Follow Up on the Implementation," there's that word again, implementation, of the Integrated Gas Development Project. So it says the Joint Management Committee of the Integrated Gas Development Project held its 8th meeting to discuss the plans and stages of implementing the project, which is considered one of the most important investments in the energy sector of Iraq. So the implementing of the government in the Ministry of Oil, they're totally for the implementation and promising plans to invest in associated gas and stop its burning and convert it into sustainable energy to support the energy and industry sectors. So don't you find it interesting that they're talking about following up with this and the implementation of this? I think it's brilliant. He says that we hope that this project will contribute to strengthening the energy sector and increasing national gas production, in addition to achieving the government's goals of stopping gas flaring, investing in it, and developing it while preserving the environment. So to me, basically, Iraq's fully underway with the cessation of the burning of the gas. Why? Because they're going to be able to use it for energy purposes. Instead of potentially buying gas from other countries, they'll be able to use the gas that they have to help be self-sustainable. So that's amazing. Is it a win for the Iraqi people? Absolutely. A win-win situation. Again, here's another article, same thing. Integrated Gas Development Project aims to invest somewhat of 600 million cubic meters of Basra fields. And here's a key point. This meeting aims to follow up on the completed steps to the project, which is one of the most important investment projects in the energy sector, implemented by the ministry in cooperation with Total Energy and the Qatari company. Okay, so they basically add on that they're going to talk about solar, a few other projects, etc. So keep that in mind. So they're talking about implementation and energy. They're going to talk about making money, cross-border payments, everything, right? So the Ministry of Electricity sponsors the signing of a contract to establish the transformer stations in Basra's government financed by the World Bank. So what are they talking about? Talking about solar energy. We're talking about electricity. And here they're talking about financing of the electricity projects. So he goes in to say that with the funding from the World Bank and the presence of the Turkish Council and the governance, what are they doing? They're going to try to increase the hours of supplying electricity to citizens, as well as achieving stability of the electricity system in the Basra Governorate. What's in the Basra Governorate? Well, some of the largest oil deposits, but the Port of Fa, the Grand Port of Fa. Because remember, the development road project starts from there. And they're going to move to where? Up into Europe and into the Mediterranean. But you're also going to see some interesting things that are you're going to go, well, did we ever talk about everybody was ready to go, but all of a sudden, did you realize that I didn't? But did you realize that Syria is a big component of that region and how that will play out? And all of a sudden you have Assad being deposed, if you will, and fled to Russia. But the point is that there's articles out specifically today, quite a few, specifically talking about Syria's relationship with what's going on in the world. And one of those things is that the new al-Jilani is talking about what? Disarming factions, security. And he's also talking about increasing payments to the citizens on the salaries that maybe like Iraq, they're going to increase them 400%. I mean, that's huge. So what it sounds like is that when we talk about in a little bit is that the Iraqi Syria pipeline is a direct path to the Mediterranean oil transfer. Think about it for a minute. Timing. It's really big. A video or so ago was all about timing. And I finally just realized with all the data that's out today, in patreon.com, we have a massive amount of that. Super Samson has brought in some really bomb pieces. And if you collectively paint that picture, you're going to go, wow. So now we have pretty much a regional reconciliation from what it looks like, because Iraq and Syria are working together, and they're open to that. And to opening that pipeline is really going to be powerful. Okay, so that development road project may have needed this circumstance to coincidentally, or could have been part of the plan. I don't know. But the cool part is that it's already happened, and that we're moving forward. It says here, basically what they're looking for is to increase the stability of the country through supplying electricity to the citizens and actually achieving stability of the electricity system as a whole. So who's going to finance that? The World Bank. These projects, they signed them. Well, they did signings. Some of these things they're talking about as of today. What's that going to do? Iraq, or the World Bank, knows that Iraq can pay back her debt. So financing things like this, they know where the money's coming from. Just as I said a little bit ago, is that how is it that Assad is going to all of a sudden increase the employees' salaries by 400%? Where's the money going to come from? Well, the money is going to come from development road project indirectly and maybe even directly, because of the fact about the amount of oil that may flow through there and that income that's going to be derived from it. It's going to help their citizens. Al-Sudani is working to help his citizens. The region is working together. The Arab nations collectively would prefer to try to help Syria to be able to take care of themselves and to grow and to get back on track and to be a part of that global trade. So this article says the Undersecretary of the Ministry of Planning discusses with the Director of the World Bank in Iraq and the mechanisms of bilateral cooperation. It says that the Ministry of Planning is involved. It says a review of the Development Road Project, the work in the Reform and Recovery Fund, in addition to reviewing the work of the World Bank's portfolio. So obviously the World Bank is in Iraq and they have a portfolio. So they're basically just about in everything that needs to be taken care of, and this has been a long process. Remember, this didn't just get started yesterday. This has been a project. Financial inclusion, for instance, 5 years would be shy and conservative. How long they've been working on this? Probably probably a decade. Probably is more likely it. But the bottom line is that are they coming to an end point where they need to do something? I think they are. Okay, so the meeting also witnessed the discussion of the Human Capital Report and the tools that the World Bank can support to achieve the report's outputs. And that's going to be the money that they're going to put in to help get money back, which is by export, if you will. And the role of the World Bank in supporting the implementation of the National Development Plan. This is talking about Iraq. So it's the role of the World Bank in supporting what's going on right now in the implementation of the National Development Plan. Basically, if you look at it like this, I think the World Bank is stuffed full of projects and investment. And so when you have the likes of Total Company and you have the likes of the Qatari company talking about electricity, providing 24/7 electricity, that's their probably goal. Because think about it, the Port of Fa, for instance, is going to need a massive amount of energy. I mean, those ships are massive. And then when they pull in and offload, they have to be hooked up and they have to have power, which is electricity. They had 5 berths just opened recently. Their expectation is 85 more. The power they're going to need is massive. Okay, that's just for the port, not even including the rest of the country. Okay, it says during the opening phase of this project, it says the first phase of this industrial city in Anbar government was open today and work has been launched. So implementation has been launched means it's got started. And basically they're talking about an agreement has also been reached with the governor of Anbar to sign a memorandum of understanding between the government and the industrial city's authority to allocate plots of land for projects that have obtained investment licenses. So they've already obtained licenses. A lot of this stuff is past tense. Okay, investment licenses, or at least industrial development licenses in accordance with industrial cities law. The project established in the industrial city will enjoy the same privileges granted to the project that have obtained an investment license, such as tax and customs exemptions and other facilities. And you remember, there's also those so-called, they're not so-called, but they are sovereign guarantees. The investment environment, they've been telling you and us for a long time, is ripe for the global people to come on in, global investors to come on in. Let's do it. And so we see that too with the tourism. So there's different sectors that they're involved in and working with. It's all about opening up to the world. So I think you guys are, like me, are pretty excited. I really am. Syria says, here it is, improving relations opens operating the oil pipeline between the two countries. So Syria and Iraq. It says the region witnessed rapid political changes that make it necessary to rearrange priorities to enhance security and stability, especially between Iraq and Syria. So the verbiage is intense because, look, when they say especially between these two, because that was a key component. And I'll reiterate it. I was really unsure about it because they're going through a war issue, the civil war, and yet here I go, what about them? I did, in my mind, think about what about them? And guess what? Now they're saying especially between Iraq and Syria. It says one of the most prominent projects that reflects the trend is the project to restart the Iraqi-Syrian oil pipeline, which has great strategic importance that outperforms other alternatives such as the Aqaba pipeline. So the Aqaba pipeline is antiquated. It takes a lot more time. It takes a lot more effort, and it's more expensive, I would assume. In the importance of the Iraqi-Syrian oil pipeline, it says here that the Iraqi-Syria oil pipeline provides a direct route for exporting oil to the Mediterranean. The development road project, you guys, is about getting goods and services to the Mediterranean from the Port of Fa. And Syria is now online with that. Back that up. Remember, he said what? He's going to increase the salaries 400% today. And that's where you have to say, well, where's the money coming from? See the picture I'm painting? Okay. The Syria line is the most economically efficient option, reducing the costs associated with transportation operations. Reviving the Iraqi-Syria oil pipeline strengthens energy supply chains in the region and supports an integrated energy network linking to Syria and European markets across the Mediterranean. The operation of the Iraqi-Syria pipeline, basically what it does, it creates a deeper strategic partnership between Baghdad and Damascus, which contributes to enhancing their regional security. So you start thinking about it and go, well, what's going on with that? If you have income coming in and you have control, getting rid of the armed factions in Syria, they're going to be talking about security. And they also go on to the activation of this pipeline represents the cornerstone for enhancing economic and security cooperation between those two countries. By improving the pipeline infrastructure, Iraq can establish itself as a pivotal state in the regional energy market, while Syria has an opportunity to rebuild its economy and improve the conditions of its people. So you start to see a picture like you go, well, wait, these guys can, after the fall of Assad, these guys are talking about immediately opening up the pipeline. Let's go and do these things. It says, this part says, linking this line to the regional distribution centers, which contributes to creating an integrated energy network that enhances the position of Iraq and Syria as major players in the market. That's going to be a global market, everybody. It's massive. So it says here, it says long-term strategic benefits. What are they? Iraq-Syria oil pipeline connects Iraq directly to the European markets via the Mediterranean, enhancing its competitiveness compared to other alternatives. Then they go on to say, accelerating the implementation of this project represents a crucial step towards achieving a balance between economic growth and political stability. So basically, in my view, there's no coincidence that the Assad fell and fled to Russia. The energy will flow, and we hope that the new transition in Syria will provide for the people to get back some sort of monetary gain. And the energy money that will come from the pipeline heading from the Mediterranean will help alleviate the suffering of those poor Syrian people for all these years. It's been a long time. So maybe this is going to be a really, really good thing, not only for Iraq, but it's going to be a really good thing for Syria. We can pray. That'd be good. So, after Baghdad meeting, it says today, the Kurdistan government announces the good news of delayed salaries. You say, good news? I go, okay, so what had happened earlier? I think what happened earlier was that they were getting ready to have a meeting, but yeah, I think that's how it goes. So earlier today, it says a delegation from the Kurdistan region's finance department arrives in Baghdad, and they discuss the fate of 3 months' salaries. Okay, so they did that, and then what are they talking about? They're talking the salaries of November and December. It says strikes have begun to escalate at a high rate in Suleimania government to include vital sectors such as hospitals, schools, and other government departments and institutions. So what do you think about that? That's all pressure. So later, after today's meetings, what are they talking about? So Sunday, they were there to what? To discuss the Federal Ministry of Finance to restore the issue of the region's salaries. This gal says that the distribution of October salaries will begin on Tuesday, 12/17, Tuesday of this next week. And while she appreciated the patience of the Kurdistan region employees, she stressed that she will not give up on their rights in any way. So this morning, a delegation from the Ministry of Finance and Economy in the Kurdistan region arrived in the capital, and they came for what? To discuss the relevant federal issues that were delaying the funds and salaries for those 3 months, October, November, and December. And ultimately, what they come out with this afternoon or evening is that they have a time frame, 12/17, by 12/17, and I think that's going to be powerful, you guys, because you've got to remember the oil movement across borders into Cyan hasn't opened. Now they're talking about oil moving through Syria. And then you have also the salaries to be paid by Tuesday and other things that are happening. But the bottom line is all of those things need that I believe is that the Ministerial Office of Justice and that 4805 have been talking about the valuation effectively of the Kurdistan region and how much the costs are for the oil. And that's number 4805. Remember that it wasn't public. It's public in the sense that they put it out, but they didn't give you the information. At least on our side, we can't see it, but they didn't give you the information of what was the key components of those paragraphs. What were those amendments? They haven't said that yet, but I got a good feeling that we've been spot on. We're going to find that out if we were or not. But hey, if it happens that way and we're right, fantastic. But if it's not, well, we're going to find out what the story is. Anyway, that's a phenomenal situation where that's effectively, like they said, the Kurdistan government announces the good news, and that good news is there's a resolution. The Interior Ministry article today was about tomorrow, the opening of the electronic passport systems in American cities of Los Angeles and Detroit. So the electronic passport systems in American cities of Los Angeles and Detroit, what's that mean? Well, we have some big populations of Iraqis in those communities of Los Angeles and Detroit. And why would that be important? Well, they're doing it tomorrow, but salaries are going to be released on the 17th. So on the 16th, they're going to allow you to get a passport electronically. You've got to think about it, you guys. There's going to be a lot of Iraqis that have Iraqi dinar just like we do. And when that purchasing power comes, they may be just like us in the sense that they're going to have purchasing power, but man, are they going to have some purchasing power. And that's probably why Sudani and others have been hoping that they could repatriate those people because of that, to drive business, to help with that money that they have coming back home and invest. So with that money coming back home to invest, I think it's going to be interesting. So tomorrow, again, corresponding to 12/16/2024, being the date, the opening of the electronic passport systems in the cities of Los Angeles and Detroit in the United States of America, in coordination with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is a big deal. Is it timed accordingly? Is there any coincidences? I don't think so. There are no coincidences. These electronic passports for USA citizens, look, if they open this up tomorrow for their populations, and their salaries are going to be paid to those that have, with a different exchange rate and that purchasing power, allowing citizens their due, you got to think about it. Man, do you think those people are going to want to come home? I think they will. I would expect there's going to be plenty of those missing their homes. You know, they got displaced and they came to America. So now they may be able to afford to go back and help rebuild their homeland. And I think that's really kind of powerful right now. And the timing is just flat out amazing. So everyone, thank you for being with me tonight. I appreciate you being here. It's been an awesome night. And I hope you guys take it home and let it sink in, because it really is powerful. Because if you think about it, all the little different things that they've been showing us has been phenomenal. We had a laundry list of stuff. So look, the items that we talked about tonight, I think, was implementation, the government program. Those are al-Sudani's plans, and that's what they've been talking about. They're using that verbiage, implementation, government program. They talk about tourism, okay, that 25 million plus people that can come through that country every year or more. Well, maybe not more, but it's tens of millions, and it's documented, okay? You can find that in Patreon. Okay, implementation of the integrated gas. Iraq needs electricity and needs power. To be able to do the development road project, they're going to need electricity and they're going to need water. We've talked about that. They've been dealing with that. Electricity. So that who's funding it? The World Bank? The World Bank's been funding and helping with that. Who with? The company Total, the Qatari company for electricity. So they have solar energy too that's coming in and already started. Okay, and to inaugurate industrial cities. One of the things I didn't touch on too much, but industrial cities, you guys, takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of materials, etc., 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 and it's going to derive for the people employment and prosperity, and that's their whole goal. And that's the region, as you can see, Syria coming on board. Jordan's on board, Iraq's on board with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia worked heavily to get Iraq ready to be able to have a session to the WTO. You haven't heard about that lately, have you? Probably not. I haven't really either. But the truth is it ongoing in the background? Of course it is, right? All right. So anyway, just remember, thank you for being with me. This is an evening that if you absorb everything, you probably should feel like, wow, tomorrow could be a really big day. Tomorrow, the next day. But bottom line is progress is immense, and there's no coincidences. So thank you for being with me. Please, if you like my content, hit the subscribe button and like it. Don't worry about that. Just keep liking, and then also for all your guys' donations. It's such appreciation goes out to you guys, because why? MMC is here because of you. Thank you very much. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content. Subscribe to the channel or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much appreciated. Thank you so much and have a great day.